look at this actually. We are covering majorly the activities what a salesperson will do with a customer. Okay. And this is all defined into three buckets actually. First bucket is something called sales process, and the second one is selling skills, and then the selling tools actually. These are the three things. As I keep saying that the success of a salesperson lies in these three buckets actually. So one should be having a strong sales process, and you should be really having a good selling skills and use a right selling tools. Then only you can become successful. One can always ask a question to me that even without this, I'm doing business, for example. Okay. But see, it is like this. One can always be successful without anything. That's all you can call it as fluke, luck, whatever you call it actually. But then the fact of the matter is, unless you are genuinely, properly, scientifically approach something, the success cannot be long lasting and sustainable. So for the sustainable sales success, a salesperson should be conversant with all these three elements of the sales. That means selling sales processes, selling skills, and selling tools. Okay. I'm not getting into the nitty-gritties of these three things. We have been covering in many, many classes actually. Now, in the selling skills, last week we talked about, previous week we talked about communication, last week we talked about questioning and listening. Today we are talking about personality traits and the dress sense of a salesperson. Okay. Um, I hear some people thinking in mind voice is listening. Actually, why should you bother about my personality traits or even the dress, whatever? Actually, end of the day, customer wants price. If I give price, I will get the order. Okay. If he wants medley, he will purchase from me. So, what is the reason? What is the role of a salesperson's skills, particularly with respect to the dress? What, for example, whether I wear a t-shirt or I wear a shirt, what difference it makes? Whether I am today, pleasing or not pleasing, what difference it makes? Those are the things always in the minds of the people. Okay. One study reveals that within 7 seconds of somebody meets the other person, for example, a salesperson goes and meet a customer, in 7 seconds, an impression is formed. 7 seconds, not 7 minutes. In 7 seconds, an impression is formed. Okay. That impression, by and large, never gets changed. Even if you spend 1 hour to explain so many things, the first impression is the best impression, which is formed in 7 minutes, 7 seconds actually. Okay. And the person, if you divide the between the content of your discussions and your personality, your skills and things like that, okay, communication, etc., 55% of the entire success lies in your personality and other traits of the person. Then only 45% lies in your content of your discussions and things like that. Okay. I'm not saying that these are not important. For example, the product knowledge, or how do you prepare, how do you know about the competition, customer, all these are all very, very important. Okay, I'm not saying they are not important. What I'm trying to say is that if you take as total of a pie, 45% is the only weightage for those details. 55% is for, these are researchers, not me, and I'm not telling this. 55% importance is for your personality, your communication styles, other things actually. Okay, so it's so important. One should not neglect this. That's what I mean to say actually. Okay, anyway, we will deal with one by one now. But my basic point is that please do not neglect the importance of having a right dress, and then right, personality traits and things like that for getting the sales success. Okay. Since many of you have been attending this program earlier. In fact, this same topic we would have must have covered 6, 7, 8 months before actually. Okay. Any thinking about this? Any of you can share initial thought about that? Do you have anything to share in the initial thought? I'm just trying to make this discussion more lively and open instead of me just making talking. Any of you have got any opinion about the importance of the the dress sense and the personality traits in the success of a salesperson?
Yes, sir. Ganeshan here. Sir, when
Yeah, go
we
ahead.
as a customer, when someone sees us, that they create a they in fact make their mind that okay, by seeing the dress, yes, this person, they relate the knowledge of the person to sometimes the dress. So he's
Oh,
well
okay.
dressed, so that means that he has a good knowledge, or something like that. So that is what my
Okay,
input.
okay, okay. I think very valid thing, because sometimes actually you may be very well versed on something, some subject also. Okay, but since you don't have the clear proper dress, and they may think that you don't know anything actually. Okay,
Sir, I have a example from myself itself.
please.
My first career started with ICA Dulux paint.
Okay,
So at that time, they used to insist us to dress very well, because you are carrying the value of your brand. You are carrying the value of a
absolutely,
company. So
absolutely,
when who are the competitors? Other paint companies like PPG, Asian
absolutely,
Paints, I mean,
absolutely, absolutely,
Bilex, a lot of companies are there, and there are
absolutely,
regional players are there. Very strong regional players are there across the country. So regional players,
absolutely,
we have to first overcome the regional players. Then you can go to the national brand competition. So
absolutely.
always when I sit next to him, my Janata Sim paint guy also will be sitting, and it looks like
Okay,
a guy working as a normal, and we will be valuing with a brand image there. So they always tell
absolutely.
you. So you have to come with your standards, so that it gives the image of your company also.
Exactly. Very well said. That's exactly, if you look at this chart, this thing, this figure, no, like Colgate paste, okay. Now the upper is this actually the paste, that the one is the package, okay. But tell me, anytime if they are going to sell this without this package, will you buy this? First of all, you will think it is a duplicate, right? Without the proper package, if the Colgate paste is sold in the shop, which is Colgate is a very famous brand, nobody will doubt about this brand. Okay, most of us must be using. Okay, and then why is it dabba? What role the dabba plays? It's waste, isn't it? Having a dabba and then put the print on. So there are a lot of money involved in this making this package, right? So, but all of us know a package makes this product attractive and gives confidence in the minds of the customer that the product is really good. Okay. And so definitely they will think that it is not a spurious one, it's a genuine one. Okay. There are so many reasons for which this package plays a major role in success of the product, even though package per se is not adding. See, I used to wonder really, the moment you open the package, it is you are putting the dustbin, right? Not even 1 minute you will spend to see what is this package is all about, right? Oh, if you open a new dabba of the Colgate paste, let's say, I'm just giving example. And if you open the dabba and then take out the paste and then put this package dabba, this cardboard dabba inside a dustbin. Okay, just to put inside dustbin, imagine how much people put efforts to prepare this package. So if you just think over on this, no, then you can understand how important is your. Yeah, actually, you have to package yourself, right? You are the product. In fact, in the front of the customer, you are the product. Okay, you have to package yourselves properly. Okay, then only customer will give the impression will be there and things like that. Okay, then comes your open the package, take out the paste, and then start using the paste. The paste is good, bad, working, not working. All after all secondary. Actually, initially the package matters, right? So this is, I'm just making the importance of your dress and personality, which is playing a major role in the sales success. Now, what are the personality traits which a salesperson should look for? I mean, should look to improve for? Enthusiasm. I've just divided this into the iceberg, actually top of the iceberg and the bottom of the iceberg. Okay. Top of the iceberg, you can see the enthusiasm, dress sense, pleasing personality, neat and tidy, smiling face. Okay. And then under the iceberg, you have the confidence, resilience, competitiveness, empathy, hunger for business. These are I've just grouped this. The reason is this. Okay. For example, when you go to a customer, you must be enthusiastic, definitely. You must have a proper dress, actually. Okay. And then you must be pleasing personality, and then neat, of course. Smiling face, very important. In fact, last week we discussed about how important the eye contact and facial expression, things like that. Okay, smiling face is important. But all these things can come only when you have a confidence. Suppose if you don't have a confidence, okay, you cannot be enthusiastic, you cannot be showing the smiling face and the pleasing personality. So reverse, moment when you don't show the enthusiasm, customer will think that you are not confident. Even though you may be confident, but then customer will think that you are not confident if you are not going to show the enthusiasm. Okay. And the next one is dress sense. We'll talk a little later. I will deal with little more deeply about that. But now the resilience. Resilience is something. Can anybody explain me what is resilience?
Good morning. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good.
Good morning, Ramesh. This is Sophosati Basu.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, as far as resilience is concerned, this is something how you can cope up the situations or how quickly you can come up with the situations. Something like, is it something like that?
Yes, exactly. So if a customer, you will say that your product is useless, your company is useless. Okay, there are umpteen number of people available in the market with half the price of what you are giving, for example. Okay, these are the things which will really put you down, right? At that moment, as a salesperson, you will be terribly upset. But then, two things: you should not show your upset in the face to the customer. You should be really come out and then give the convincing reply and answer to the customer without showing your anger or ego or your arrogance. Actually, without showing your arrogance, ego, or anger, you should politely explain the customer why you are better and different than the competition, why your product is performing better than the competition. All these things you have to give actually. But the job here I'm telling is that generally a salesperson will become upset. Like you will feel like, what is this here, the customer? So the resilience means something which is you come back, you bounce back. I mean, you understand, you heard this word called bounce back? Basically, for example, let's say now the election time. In the political party, when they've lost their entire thing, they bounce back and the next election they come win in a very strong way, right? That's a resilience, okay? Some people, once they are lost, they are lost. They will never come back. That they don't have resilience, actually. Okay. So competitiveness, empathy, hunger for business. Okay. I will explain this little deeper now. So come to the dress sense. Okay. I mean, this again, actually, all of you are aware. I'm not saying something very different than what you know. For example, the first person, even though all the three are showing their hands for shaking you, I mean, that means greeting a customer. Okay. The first person, nobody will give any respect to him and do any business with him, right? Assume that all the three are going to a customer. All the three are you going to customer to sell the same product, for example. Okay. The first person when you go to a customer, he will be like a buffoon. Okay. Nobody will give any importance to him, nor to his words or to his poet, etc., etc. Okay. Second person is wearing some reasonable dress, but the thing is that two things happens here. So one is the dress itself is not it's not kind of formal, rather. Okay, it's a highly informal dress he's wearing. Okay. Second is that see the way in which he's putting the hand in the sideways. He is not really. That means actually he is not bothered. Very arrogant and egoistic. He's not bothered about anybody. Okay. The third person, you can see there is a reasonable dress, and then he is able to show the hands. Of course, you can see the confidence in his face. He is not, see, because please understand, many a times we all think that we have to be so, like polite to the customer. We end up bowing down to the customer, which is not acceptable, which is not correct. You have to show the confidence in your face, not the arrogance. There is a big difference between confidence and arrogance. Please be clear. There is a big difference between arrogance and confidence. Okay. The second fellow is showing the arrogance. Third fellow is showing the confidence. It makes sense. Does it make sense? You should show the confidence.
Yes, absolutely.
While giving the shake hand to the customer, show the confidence, not show your arrogance. Okay. And similarly, your dress has to be pleasing. You should be differently kind of commanding respect to you. As somebody said now, sometime before, it is attached to your brand, because your brand value is being carried to the customer with your dress sense, your confidence. All the things are showing the brand which you are representing in the market. Any other things about the dress? Because the dress is something, it depends upon the culture of the place. For example, some place they don't want coat, tie, and also we are not here debating about whether we should wear a coat, tie, and all. Not that way. Wear a reasonably good dress. For example, when I'm going to wear a t-shirt in India, still the t-shirt considered as a very casual thing. Okay, not in Western countries, but in India. So when you go to a customer with a t-shirt and a jeans pant, okay, even though it's a decent dress, but customer thinks that you are a casual guy. You are just come on holiday mood. You are not serious about talking about the customer. You are just come. You are going somewhere else, and on the way you just came to me. So these are impression customer carries. Okay, you are not supposed to wear t-shirt when you go to a customer. Okay, you are supposed to wear a formal shirt. Okay, in the formal shirt also, if you're going to wear dark red color, bright red color, okay, or with lot of big flowers, for example, okay, it is not going to work. You have to wear a light color shirts and pleasing to the eyes. The reason is that again, it distracts the customer when you are wearing some kind of flashy shirt and also with a lot of flowers and big designs, whatever. Okay, customer will be distracted by your shirt and your design than focusing on your topic. So be careful, wear very like light colored and pleasing shirts, formal shirts. That's very important. So never wear t-shirt, never wear any flashy colored or dark color also I don't like. I mean, I suggest don't use it, because what happens with dark colors, what happens, it makes the whole mood dull. So you can understand when you're wearing a white color shirt or in like cream light color shirts, okay, the whole mood of the place becomes more brighter. Okay, when you're going to wear, you can't control the customer anyway. You only can handle yourself. When you go, if you're going to wear some red color shirts with lot of designs and things like that, okay, the whole area will become dull and like drab. So better to wear a bright light color shirts. Okay, as far as pant is concerned, it's a kind of formal pant you wear. No
আচ্ছা আমি তোজোকে পাঠাচ্ছি, আমার একটা মিটিং চলছে, আমি তোজোকে পাঠাচ্ছি।
Okay. Other than that, I leave it to you. I mean, naturally, shoe is very important. You can't wear a chappal and go to a customer. Okay. Definitely, shoe is considered as a more formal than the chappal. Okay. So never do that. Anything on dress sense before we proceed?
Ramesh, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
What about if we introduce uniform to the sales team?
Nothing wrong in that. In fact, uniform to the sales team is good. If it, as long as it is representing your brand in a nice way with the customer. Okay. And then when the uniform, from the customer's point of view, the uniform speaks the brand value of your company anyway, actually. Okay. So it is welcome. There's nothing wrong in that. In fact, I would even say it's good actually. Okay. Only thing is that it should not happen that you are not conveying to the customer. Uniform can convey two things. One, it can convey your disciplinary method of working in your organization to the customer. Okay. Other way, it can also kind of represent that your autocratic way of doing it. For example, okay, you are very strict and putting making the people to wear a uniform like that. Okay, so I again depends upon the culture of the place you have to decide. Okay, but then my opinion, wearing uniform to go to a customer is a welcome one, as long as it represent nicely, properly the brand what is saying in front of customer actually. So please go ahead, you can do that uniform, no problem.
Thank you.
But be careful that it's not convey the customer. See, actually, what are you conveying to the customer with the uniform? As I said, you're conveying your company is a very disciplined company. That's what you're conveying to the customer with your uniform. Okay. If that conveying happens, nothing best actually. Okay. It should not convey that. For example, I'm just giving an example. If your employee goes to a customer and tells, sir, we have to wear this uniform, sir. Actually, my boss is so strict, sir. Actually, I would have, because I hate this uniform, but I have to wear it. What he conveyed to the customer is that my boss is so autocrat actually, so he wants me to wear only this dress. So when you put a uniform, you have to make your employee kind of mentally prepared that he really give value to the uniform what he is wearing, and then which speaks in front of the customer about your brand.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. So the next one is enthusiasm. Now, this figure speaks very clearly. I don't need to explain. The first one, enthusiasm like a child. We say, children are so enthusiastic. Okay, a salesperson should be enthusiastic like a child. Okay, you cannot become like this old man. Like a because why I'm saying is that the enthusiasm will be there when you are traveling in the hard. Traffic or some pressure, business pressure, sales pressure. So many things can reduce your enthusiasm actually. Okay, but then if that day, if you are not enthusiastic to meet a customer, please do not go to the customer. The best thing is to avoid going to meeting a customer if you are not enthusiastic. So because the reason is that customer expects a salesperson should be energetic and enthusiastic. Okay. So that he likes to deal. Customer wants to deal with only people who are enthusiastic. They don't want to deal with a dull guy. They don't want to deal with any person who is dull actually. So you can be knowledgeable. You can be having a lot of good products and best price also. Okay, but then if you are terribly dull and then maybe for just since because you have come they will sit with you, but next time they will not give appointment. Definitely next time they will not give appointment. So be enthusiastic. That's very, very important. This is a very, very important trait of a sales. I don't need to express this. All of you know about this, but then I'm putting this point here. Reason is that I know that because of your work pressure, because of your any various macro reasons, okay, a particular day you may be less enthusiastic, okay. But then I would suggest that day, please avoid meeting the customer. Now today, of course, in the COVID time, meeting customer itself is irrelevant, but then I'm saying in general actually. Or even over phone also, when you're talking over phone, for example, easily people can find out whether you're enthusiastic or not from your voice, from your words actually. Okay. So when you call a customer to talk, okay, first of all, make yourself enthusiastic and then call him and speak. Okay. By chance your boss has kind of grilled you, screwed you, or even your family, there's a problem because of work from home now. Again, the family plays a major role. Actually, there's some kind of issue at home. Okay, you are terribly upset, whatever. Okay, please avoid calling customer. Okay, it is actually it will only backfire if you are going to talk to the customer when you are not in good mood, when you are not enthusiastic. Make sense? Does it make sense? Or any thought against this?
Yes, sir. It is very clearly understood, sir. It's very clearly understood.
This is what resilience I meant about actually. So if you have this, all of you, most of you must be using your motorbike. Okay, in the motorbike you have this what you call this shock absorber. You must have seen in the tire shock absorber. This shock absorber is the one what it's basically that's what is helping you travel in these bumpy roads of Indian conditions. Okay, otherwise your back will be broken sooner than later. Okay. So this what happens is the shock absorber really expands and contracts whenever there is a thing comes actually. Okay, that's a core. I can say dictionary meaning of resilience is basically expansion contraction happens actually. Okay, it's resilient. Okay, the salesperson similarly has to have this kind of resilience. Means actually when there is my boss is pushing me from one side, customer is pushing me other side. What I should do? I become a cushion in between these two actually. Okay, I cannot go and tell because many times I'm seeing the salesperson goes and tell the customer, sir, my boss has really wanted me to get the order today from you, sir, or my boss wanted me to collect this money today somehow from you, sir. Boss must have told all these things, but then it is not that you cannot go and tell the customer like this. You have to tell the customer in a way which customer appreciates and likes and then even enjoys sometimes. Okay. You cannot exactly tell the same thing what your boss tells you and go and tell the customer. Okay. This is another aspect of the resilience actually. Because what happens that a salesperson gets broken because what happens, sir, boss is pushing me like you have to get this order today. You have to get this payment today. Okay. He goes to the customer with a lot of vigor and tell the customer, sir, I want order. Customer says, no, not possible now. Sir, my boss has wanted me to get, you have to get me the order. Okay. The whole relationship will get spoiled. Whole business thing will get spoiled. That is not, even the boss is not expecting to do like that. Boss is giving you a requirement. Okay. You are supposed to handle it in a way which your customer possibly like it. Right? How you ask him like that. Okay. This one form, or other form, what I explained is that customer can put you down, saying that customer, in fact, many customers play with salespeople. Like, just play, just play. I know they enjoy also, because they get bored of meeting so many salespeople. Okay, some people comes, they try to push you. No. Your company is not, cannot survive now. Actually, your company is going to doldrums. Actually, okay, you cannot sell any product. The product is still, go and see my factory struggling. Your product is not at all working. These are the easy statements customer throw at your face. Okay, yeah, novice salesperson, what you will do, no, you'll get funk, completely get funk. Okay, then you'll say, sir, okay, sir, I'll go back, sir. I'll talk to my boss and get back to you, sir. I'll call my principal, sir. Okay, you go back. That's all. Nothing will happen. It's collapse actually. Okay, but that is where you have to hold on to your resilience and then tell him, sir, politely, give him clear-cut reason why your poet is better, why your poet can perform better, and then why your poet is still the market leader in the market, how your company is surviving for such a long time, how your company is going to run for longer period than now. All these things you can explain to the customer, okay, in a polite manner, in a, of course, respectful manner, without making yourself upset. He's trying to put you down. You should not get put down. In a simple quote sense, resilience base, you should not get put down. Whenever somebody putting you down, you should not get put down. You must really hold on yourself and then try to manage the show, manage the situation with the customer. And similarly, when your boss is putting pressure, also you should have the resilience to hold on to your pressure, not really go, put the same pressure on the customer. Don't do that. Any thoughts on this? Any thoughts? Okay. Competitiveness. I know that competitiveness is important for a salesperson. Okay. Then you ask me a question, why are you talking about this here, sir? Actually, every salesman should be competitive. Do you know what is, because we all know about competition actually, okay. Competition and competitiveness, both are same. Anything about, what do you understand between competition and competitiveness? Just like that, anybody can explain.
So competition is how against our whatever the products we have, whatever the competition or who are all competing against our products or competing against our products mainly. Competitiveness is that how far the product value is there against us is competitiveness. Like if our product is better than the competition, then we can say that we are more competitive in offering a price and the performance. So I don't know whether this is the right.
Perfect. Actually, a good explanation, because what happens is that, see, when I mean, like for a sale for you, your company, all your other co-suppliers are all competitors. Actually, the one who competes with you in the customer end. Okay, that's a competitor. Can call it actually. Okay, but for a salesperson, you must be competitive to win the game. See, basically, let's just give an example like a game. Actually, it's a game. Okay, where there is a people are running. Okay, it's a running race. Let's say. Okay, running race is a game. Okay, so you must be these the blue shirts. These three people are competitors. Okay, and then this fellow is you. Actually, let's say. Okay, now how competitive you against these people matters actually. Okay, end of the day, you have to win the game. Win the game. So if you're having a competitiveness, strong competitiveness, okay, you will win. Okay. Here the two ways you can win this game actually. Okay. One, you run fast and win the game, or you can somehow, for example, break the leg of this guy. Let's say Okay, I'm just giving an example. Just break the leg of this guy. Just give a kick to this guy. This guy will fall down. Then you reach the goalpost, let's say. Okay. Just to explain clearly in our close home, in our business, okay, what you do is that you try to, you know that there's a competition who is having a good product at better price, things like that. You go to the customer and tell that guy saying that, sir, that for the competition is very bad. That company, they've given this product, that product has not worked well. Their company has really burned their fingers, and then they also always start with half the price, they increase the price later. So you try to put all sorts of things about your competition in the minds of the customer, negative things, okay, assuming that customer will get upset on the competition and he will buy from you, right? That is not competitiveness. That is not competitiveness. That's why I'm trying to explain it clearly. If you are going to go to the customer and tell the customer that your competition is bad in these reasons, actually, okay, you should not buy from the competition in these reasons, actually, okay. And then if the customer is going to buy from you because since you have told all these things, okay, that is not competitiveness. Competitiveness is something which you win the game with your own quality, not with the negative quality of your competitor. You understand? Competitiveness is something you win the game with your own good quality, but not simply blaming the competition's bad quality or spoiling the image of the competition and make all sorts of other things to make the competition collapse, and then you win the game. No, that is, first of all, it is an illegitimate win. Okay. It is not acceptable actually. So competitive, yes, that means why I'm saying in so many words is because salesperson, when you go to a customer, you are under tremendous pressure to get the success, get the order. Okay. What you do is that either you go show your product, explain the product, give the price and all, get the order. If you feel the competition is very strong, they have a strong product, a good price and things like that, sometimes what you do is you try to kind of manipulate the mind of the customer against the competition, which is not competitiveness. You can ask me a question, why, sir? What's wrong in that? If whatever I do, I finally get an order actually. Okay. Two things happens here. Okay. One is that it's not long lasting. It is not sustainable. Maybe one order or one transaction you can get, not always. Okay. Your name will get spoiled. Two, the customer, in no time you will find out. They just for one order they will get from you because you are saying that competition is bad. Okay. But then in no time they will find out that whatever you said is wrong. Competition is better than you and things like that. Okay. Then your customers' trust on you will go down drastically. And then it will really backfire your business in the future dates. Making sense?
Yes, sir.
I mean, sense? I mean, is
Yes,
it load?
yes, absolutely clear.
Competitiveness here, what I am talking about, you succeed with the customer based on the merits of your offering or your selling skills or your personality or your communication, whatever actually, okay. Not getting success by manipulating in the minds of the customer about your competitor negatively. Do anybody have got anything against this? For example, it's good to have a debate here.
No, sir, it is not a question of debate, sir. Actually, I have I'm sharing one of my example. Suppose one of our customers has been using a competitive product, and he has full trust on this, and years after years he has been doing this business. And virtually he has having no problem. Also, is getting good support from that. Even then, sometimes for us, we are trying to somehow get a breakthrough. And if we get any competitive drawbacks, should we highlight that thing in front of the customer?
That is what I'm telling you. No, see again. See you. If you genuinely know there is a problem in the competition product, if you genuinely know, okay, with lot of data, whatever, okay, and then if the customer asks you, in fact, even if a customer asks me, for example, customer asks me that how is that competition product, okay, two things I will tell, sir, I will not comment about the competition, but what I heard from the market, it is this. Like that only I will tell. Okay. I will not really spend too much time to explain to the customer about the how bad the competition things like that. I will not tell. Okay, I will simply tell them that, sir, because I'm not supposed. I don't talk about the competition, sir. But since you have asked me this, what I heard from the market, this is the information. Just like that, I'll just keep it for a small time. The reason is this: moment I say that I will not comment about the competition, my image goes up with my image goes high in the minds of the customer. Okay, number one. Number two, when I share some information to the customer about the competitions, whatever negative thing, okay, I'm non-committal. I'm non-committal. Even tomorrow, customer finds out that competition is not as bad as what I said. Okay, he's not going to blame me. He will say that what I heard from the market, I'm telling you, but I'm not sure about that. Understand? I mean, making
Yes,
sense?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely clear, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any questions? Any other questions?
Yes,
Any
sir.
other comments?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Sir, Ganeshan here. See, sir,
Yeah.
when I was in purchasing, I experienced one thing that one ex-salesman came from an ex-company. He was promoting the product and we were buying. And at the same time, he resigned and joined another company. And he said that this product is better than. As a purchaser, as I was confused that till last week he was saying that product is good. And this week he is saying this product is good. So the impression about the salesperson, literally changed actually.
Very
So
well.
in these type
It's
of things, how we should judge a product or a person? If we go by the person, then with the relationship, yes, we will give the order. If we go by the product, then we will stick to the old company. So how these type of things has to be handled, sir?
listen. It's very valid question you have put actually. It happens to many salespeople who are moving from one company. Naturally, nobody will stay in the whole life for one company. Okay, they'll move from company A to company B. Okay, when you go to the competitor and then you start working there, you cannot say that my ex company point is better than my point. Then you cannot be a salesman. Okay, you have to anyway say that my present point. But if your salesperson is giving with the clear details why that point is better than that. For example, I'm working in a company A, okay. I'm selling a product, okay. I'm explaining to you as a purchaser some kind of details, okay. I go to another company, okay, and then I see. Then I have to come and explain to you clearly that why the new company's product is better than the old company, because the way in which he example, instead of saying that we are better than that, nobody you as a purchase you will not believe actually, okay. But then for me, since I was not possibly fully aware about the competition product, okay, I was trying to explain my qualities improvement about my existing present company's product, okay. When I go to the new company, since I know in and out more better about the new company's product, okay, then I come back to explain to you about more details about why the new company's product is better than the old company. Okay. So you as a purchaser, what you're going to see is that, okay, you're going to see more details about why he's telling that is better than simply carrying away the salesperson, because since the salesperson is known to you, okay, he is now today in A company, you are buying from A company product. You move to B company, you're buying from B company. Don't do that. That is not correct actually. In the A company, he explaining to you why his company point is better. When you go to B company, explain to you why the company point is better. Okay. You as a purchase person, you should genuinely judge from these both the arguments, really what better quality the B company is having better than the A. Maybe possible because that fellow when he was working in the A company was not knowing fully about the B company point. Okay. The moment he went to big company, he knows about in and out about the big company poet. So he can tell that, sir, my present company poet is having these are the more factors better than a company poet. Okay. So naturally you can buy, nothing wrong in that. But if only for the name of the customer, name of the car, your salesperson, relationship, etc., sir, my company is in a very generalized way when you say better than B is better than A, you cannot believe him actually. Tomorrow you'll go to C, you'll say C is better than B actually. You can't do that. Generally, what we do is that I have also done that kind of competition changing very company to company. Okay. First and foremost, I will tell the customer, sir, what you are buying is very good. Okay. You first of all, I'll tell the customer like this: you are buying A company point, very good. That's the best point in the world. There's no product about it. But then those days when the technology was not really developed so much, that point was better. Now there is some more challenges come in the market. B company has developed much better point than A now. One can always bring out saying that actually new development happened in the market. Na, Ganesan. Ganesan. What I'm saying is, as a salesperson, what I will represent is that instead of saying my new company point is better than the old company, I will tell because the market demand has increased, market requirements has changed. Okay, the new B company has developed a point which is suiting to the present requirement of the market, which
Right,
nobody
sir.
can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, right.
Empathy. This empathy is something. Do anybody know what is empathy? Sympathy, empathy, both are similar, but then not the same. Empathy is basically actually you put yourself in the shoes of the customer. Means when the customer is in trouble, you must feel that you are in trouble. That's a real empathy. It's in a crude sense, I can explain. Empathy is nothing but you are putting yourself in the shoes of the customer and then understand what's the customer problem. Many times what happens, again, salesperson, we are so much bogged down with our own targets and then requirements and all. Okay. We go to the customer, push like anything. Sir, please try this point. Try this. That guy must be really struggling because his technical person must have resigned actually. There is a pressure of delivery. The boss is really putting pressure like anything. The expo buyers are all demanding like anything. There are so many problems he is already into. He is afraid to change the product any time now. Without understanding that if you are going to put pressure on him to change the product, take a trial, give the order, etc., okay, that's not empathy. When you don't have empathy, then what will happen? Again, the relationship get collapsed actually, and then long term you cannot have the relationship with the customer actually. You must because you are putting pressure, you may give an order but collapse, nothing will happen. So you must really empathetic to customers situation actually, because everybody has got their own situation, sir. You are going because you are having your pressure of getting an order, okay, but then he is sitting with his own pressure of doing so many things. So you must be really empathetic to the customer situation, and accordingly you must kind of position yourself and your product also. Any thought on this? Any experience about empathy? I mean, do you understand this empathy? Others can
Yes, sir. Understood.
others can also comment. Only a couple of people are commenting. I am asking these questions because reason is that it's an interactive webinar. Every week we do the interactive because we want people to be interactive. I don't want you to show your faces, but you can at least open up your audio and then talk to me. Ask me if you want or explain to me. Give you examples. You all must be having your own experiences. I'm not saying that only I know. I got this kind of experience. You also must have got a lot of experience about this. Okay. So when you are not empathetic to the customer, what will happen? Customer will get upset. Customer will get many customers will not show in their face they're upset. Okay, but then next time they will not cooperate with you. Okay, and also one important thing here I will tell you. Some companies what they do is that suppose when they want to give a solution, technical solution for a problem. Okay, they somehow incorporate some point in that actually, because the idea is that if in textiles, since I know I'm telling you actually, okay, since if two products can solve the problem, they'll put third point also. Three products can they put the problem is solved actually. Customer will buy. It's a matter of time, matter of maybe one or 2 weeks. Okay, by the time customer will come to know, then you will stop your entire business. Our competition will take your money, the business away. So you must be empathetic. That's absolutely unfair, right? Absolutely unfair. Customer believes you, tells you there's a problem. Please come and solve it. Okay. If you can solve with the minimum number of points, that's the best. Okay. If 3 points are really required, fine. But if it is not required, you can't thrust into the throat of the customer all these things. Then hunger for business. Naturally, all the salesperson must be having hunger for business. Okay. You can ask me questions are, will any salesperson be there without hunger for business? Will there be any salesperson without hunger for business, sir? Anybody can answer.
Sir, that is possible when the our plant capacity is full. When the plant capacity, means factory capacity is running full or allocation is there, then only he or she can have this sort of without hunger. Otherwise, in every time, a salesperson has to be very hungry for orders.
Okay, just to comment on this, hunger for business is a trait or quality of a person. You cannot have today and you cannot not have tomorrow. Hunger has to be, will be there. See, because these are inborn qualities, Basochi. These are inborn qualities. Okay, the hunger for business will be there in salesperson always. Whether your allocation, your capacity, these are a little different. Okay, when the hunger for, see, you may not go to the customer. That's a different thing. The moment you go to the customer, you will have the hunger for business. You have to have hunger for business. But why I'm putting it here is because there's a two things difference actually here. One is that you can have hunger for business. It does not mean you can pester the customer. You can't, you can't harass the customer for order actually. Understand? In order to show my hunger for business, a salesperson can go and harass the customer for order. That is not correct. Am I making sense? Since because somebody told me that I have to have hunger for business, I go to the customer and tell him, give me order, give me order, give me order. I'm having hunger for business. No, that is not hunger. Hunger for business actually means you do whatever you want to do, you do it and get the order with the customer when there is a requirement for the product. For example, the customer is there, you want to buy a product, there's a requirement of a product, okay? Two or three competition is approaching him, actually. The customer is going to judge this, your salespersons. How he will judge, okay? The first person will say, customer will tell him that, can you get me a sample? One person will tell, sir, it has to come from Bombay. It will take some 8 days actually. I'll give you next Monday, sir. Another person will tell, sir, actually it has to be imported, sir. It will take 2 weeks, 3 weeks like that. Third person will tell, sir, tomorrow morning it will be in your table, sir. Actually, how you do it, it's up to you. Because I have seen many times what happened whenever we go on tour, for example, okay, evening 5 o'clock, customer will tell, for technical, let's say technical trial, okay, customer will tell, can you run the trial now? Please believe me, many times I have cancelled my flights and then continued the trial with the customer. Many of you must be doing it also actually, okay. That is actually to show the customer that you are having hunger for business. Means you are prepared to even cancel a flight and then stay back and do it. You are prepared to stay back this next 2 days and do it. Even next 1 week also you're prepared to stay and do these activities to get the order. That's hunger for business. If you're going to tell, sir, I have to go back to my house, sir. Actually, I got some problem at home, or I got some other customer appointment. My boss is coming, sir. My annual meeting is happening. My sales conference is happening from Monday. I cannot come. All these things will make the customer believe that you don't have hunger for business. So your hunger for business, if you are going to express to the customer, you must express the customer your preparedness to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants to get the order. That's hunger for business. To differentiate hunger for business does not mean that you pestering, give me order, give me order, give me order, today only, today only, today only. No. I told you some slides before saying that actually you should not push the customer for just getting an order today only. Okay. The hunger for business means actually you should be ready to sacrifice yourself, your pleasure, your time, your sometimes money also. When I say money, why? Because some people bring sample of 100 kilos by air, let's say, from Germany, let's say, for example. Okay, that's hunger for business. Okay, you are not worried about what is the cost involvement, things like that. Okay, so there are many ways one can express the hunger for business to the customer. That's very, very important. Customer really appreciates this hunger for business while carrying out the business with you, because particularly in the competitive environment, when too many competition is fighting for a small piece of cake, okay, the salesperson's hunger is really valued. Okay, now two things. You can ask me a question, sir. I am having hunger for business, sir. My company is not cooperating, sir. When I tell my company, my boss says, no, don't stay back. You come back. You have to attend the sales conference. That's meeting is very important. Customer is not, you can do later on. Okay. Or my boss tells her, no, not possible to send by air the material. I have to send by only sea. I have to send by road, whatever. It's like that. Okay. You have to wait for 1 week. then customer will tell, how can you push like this? You have to wait for a reasonable amount of time to do. All these things are problem in an organization. Okay. But if I have seen a salesperson having hunger for business, you will fight with the boss, fight with the company and get the job done, ensure the customer get his job done the earliest and the best possible time possible. That's a hunger for business. You cannot blame your company because you can't go and tell the customer, sir, my company is not accepting it, sir. I have to wait for 1 week. Then you don't have hunger for business. Okay. Either you can tell the customer, sir, I have to go back because I got meeting, etc., etc. Now you can you can accept whatever your boss says. And so you have to really fight both the sides and get it happen. That's hunger for business. So what I'm saying is that I think that's the end. Actually, what I'm saying is that actually what we discussed is the dress is very important for a salesperson. Okay, enthusiasm is extremely important. Resilience we discussed about competitiveness, genuine competitiveness, not undercutting competitiveness. The undercutting competitiveness is not competitiveness. Okay. Sorry to say this, I'm openly and clearly, frankly telling, undercutting competitiveness is not competitiveness. Okay. You can call it as a tactical way of getting business on order. I'm not coming into the discussion here actually. Okay. Here, competitiveness I'm talking about is that you have to be ahead of your competition in terms of many things. In terms of your product, in terms of your price, in terms of your offering, in terms of your service, in terms of your again selling skills. There are many things can be ahead of your competition. So that when you're ahead of your competition like this in a genuine manner, that's a competitive I'm talking about here. Okay. And then empathy, what I told is that actually you really empathetic to your customers situation and then handle it. Just don't try to push into the throat of the customer, whatever you want to do it. Okay. And hunger for business, real hunger for business is basically sacrificing all your pleasure for customers requirement, customers success, customers interest. So customer interest comes first, not your interest, not even your company's interest. Again, don't get confused. Interest does not mean that you shall at loss. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about all your activity you can activate faster and better and faster and better, okay, and get the job done for the customer the fastest possible manner, so that you customer gives confidence in you, keep confidence in you, and then make your efforts successful commercially. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Ramesh, there's no question. Actually, I must appreciate these things, the way you are explaining all these things. And one more thing is that the tagline you put on your just above your head, sometimes today is I can and I will.
Thank you.
The last time it was one day or day one. So this
Day
is
one,
actually
yes.
very encouraging, and actually it sets the agenda, or it sets actually the back of the mind that how energetic or how
Thank you.
enthusiasm you are going to attain these things. This is a very good thing. I really appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think I really appreciate your pointing it out and then correlating it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions? Please open up. Any questions? You can even type on the chat box. No, I feel if there is any questions, come on, guys.
Sir, Ganeshan here. Sir, only one
Yeah,
thing
Ganesh.
in today's webinar, what I understood is, in short, what I as a takeaway, I would say that to be a good salesperson, he should be a shock absorber and he should sacrifice his pleasure for serving the customers. Only one thing is, after doing all these things, yeah, we are all working, to grow up in the company and professionally. So this is, I think, these two qualities for a salesperson is more important to grow in the company as well as getting a good name in the customers. So that is what is my takeaway in this.
If you are going to get the good name with the customer, make it successful, you will automatically grow in your company. Understand? You are growing in the company is incidental according to me. Okay. You are growing with the customer is more permanent. The customer is a permanent than the company. Company can be changed. Okay. Customer will remain always a customer for you in the market. Okay. So getting good name with the customer is a number one according to me than even your whatever career, etc. you're talking about. Actually.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If there is no question, thank you so much. Thank you all of you for coming and joining and attending. So keep attending the future programs and then all the best. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Lawrence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
ஆமா